influence on Europe or France, but the European influence on America, because a lot of what you're getting back is what was sent there. Because remember, I brought Michel Gauquelin to the United States for the first time, and the Ebertines to the United States for the first time. And a lot of these people, and everybody you name, was part of the organization, part of ISA. Germaine Holly, she was on the board of directors as well. And Michel Gauquelin. So it's not a one-way street at all. In fact, American astrology was almost the same thing. It was, everybody did the same thing until the Ebertines came over and brought cosmobiology, and B.V. Raman came from India and brought Vedic astrology. So everybody changed at that point. We all learned new things from each other. By the way, I also wanted to mention another thing that I did was to bring astrology to TV, television. One conference was 7 days of live programming on the local channel. It was a millennium.
In what year?
1995. It was the Millennium Marathon. Millennium Marathon, and I had about 30 astrologers who all came and made their predictions for the millennium. And we also had conferences and workshops off the TV. And we filmed it all. We have it all on tape.
Alors donc, c'est pour ceux qui n'ont pas compris, ils ont organisé en 95 une réunion de une trentaine d'astrologues qui ont parlé de ce qu'il fallait attendre de la fin du XXe siècle et du début du XXIe siècle. Je ne sais pas si c'est la meilleure façon de présenter l'astrologie, effectivement.
C'est pas?
Well, it's a certain way it gives a certain image of astrology as astrologer meeting to be able to discuss about the future of the world.
Alors pourquoi c'est pas bon?
I don't know. I didn't say that. I said maybe not everybody here is enthusiastic about this idea of, for instance, this type of conference we have now is not at all for astrologer to discuss what is going to happen. It's not. It's a special. I think that under the idea of conference there are so many different ways,
exactly.
so many different approaches of what is to be between. For instance, before the conferences we had in France, when the astrologers were meeting in weekend, etc., they were meeting in Paris to give consultations. There were salons in L'Hôtel Lutetia, etc. So in the 60s, they were meeting. When you would say, "Oh, astrologers are meeting," they were meeting they had all their own, like Parapsy today. They have their own small cabin. There were 20 astrologers in their own cabin, and they were receiving clients. That was existed before we started to develop the conferences, the so-called conferences in astrology. The idea of meeting for weekends, it's very funny to consider, and it is nearly, because I must tell you, the history of you know that, for instance, before you, there were a very important German astrologer, Dr. Korsch.
Koch.
Not Koch. Korsch.
No, I met him. He was also part of ISA.
No, it's Korsch.
Not when I spoke to him, it wasn't.
No, it's a different. There is Koch and there is Korsch.
K-O-C-H?
No, it's Korsch. K-O-R-C-S-C-H. No, Koch is connected with house systems. The 1937 conference in Paris, 37 years before your conference, was organized by an international society, the center of which was in Germany. The Germans have played a very important role. It's very interesting. People always think they are the first to do something. France had the 1937 conference and the 1954-53 conference were organized by German and Australian societies.
Australian? Or
Australian.
Austrian?
Yes. So, so we have always in France needed until 1974, because after 1974 the conferences were organized by really local French association, but the three first conferences in 1937, 1953, and 1974 were all organized by foreign societies in France. It's incredible how...
74 was not a foreign...
Well, it's not international.
ESA was not foreign.
No, well, it's not foreign, it was not French.
Nor was it founded by an
French.
American, it was founded by an Australian.
No. But I mean, it was
No,
not the first...
But it was never American. No.
There was a
It is
first...
now, but it
there, was
wasn't then.
there were two first attempts to develop conferences in France, which failed. There was a 1937 attempt, which failed, without future. Afterwards, there was a 1953 attempt, which failed, without future. And finally, the 1974 attempt succeeded.
Merci.
Well, it's not because of you.
Oh no.
It is because of the people who took in charge of the whole process. It could very well, I must say that, well, I don't want to speak about myself, but there was a very great possibility, there was a great probability that after the 1974 conference, nothing would have continued at all. It would have been just like
ESA still exists, Jacques.
No, I mean in France.
Oui.
It's not obvious that this 1974 conference would have continued and would have been followed by about 100 conferences in the next 30 years. It could very well not have happened, like it didn't happen in the previous attempts. So this is interesting. Let's come back to the philosophy of American astrology, because we are okay, you?
Est-ce que ça permet d'expliquer quelque chose sur la situation néerlandaise pendant les années 70, parce que je crois que dans la Hollande, il y avait un même état d'un réveil astrologique dans l'influence de la littérature américaine. D'ailleurs, l'astrologie en Hollande était diminuée chez des pratiques de maisons des astrologues. Il n'y avait pas des organisations, mais il y avait des gens qui sont organisés informellement, comme un cercle des amis ou un cercle des personnes qui ont la même idée. Et il y avait un cercle des publicistes, des éditeurs. Il y avait en Hollande 3 ou 4 éditeurs bien forts dans le champ ésotérique. En commencement, la période de 1970, on pouvait voir que, notamment à Amsterdam, on commençait à rééditer des œuvres anciennes des auteurs néerlandais et des auteurs d'étrangers. On peut mentionner ici un homme comme Rudyard avec son livre intitulé en anglais The Astrology of Personality. On pouvait commencer des livres ésotéristes de Philas Lévy. Ensuite, il y avait des gens avec beaucoup d'expérience comme Melly Elder qui poursuivaient à reproduire les livres anciens. Et le majeur effet est une nouvelle approche du thème des aspects. Pour donner un exemple, quand on essaie d'analyser un carré, on peut parler de longitude de Vénus à Scorpion et de Mars à Lion, et c'est ça, on peut interpréter la signification du signe zodiacal relaté avec les planètes. Mais ce qu'on a fait comme analogie avec les phases lunaires est d'estimer un cycle Vénus-Mars avec Vénus en avant dans un carré sortie, ensuite opposition, ensuite aussi un carré mais diminué et ensuite une conjonction pour chercher la signification du cycle dans l'approche astrologique. En même moment, il y avait un courant qui n'était pas satisfait avec ce qu'on pouvait faire avec les thèmes de naissance. Tels des gens avaient l'idée que le thème, le sens, est une tronc rempli de secrets qu'on ne pouvait pas comprendre avec l'astrologie contemporaine. Ils avaient besoin d'une chose nouvelle, d'une chose psychologique ou d'une chose ésotérique. Et comme un ange du ciel viendrait le livre de Schulman, le livre sur l'astrologie karmique. Et juste à ce moment, j'étais un participant d'un magazine Sagittarius qui, d'un côté, s'intéressait beaucoup pour ces nouveautés, et de l'autre côté, disait non, il faut rester à le principe de Ptolémée et à le principe de prévision, et c'est ça. Non plus, on a assez de matériel pour analyser dans ces petits champs, et on n'a pas besoin de nouveautés qu'on ne comprend pas tout de suite. Ma question, pour résumer, est le bilan dans les années 70 et le commencement de l'année 80 est que l'introduction des systèmes ou des approches des États-Unis ont résulté dans les consommateurs d'astrologie.
Dans le quoi?
Chez les consommateurs d'astrologie.
Consommateurs?
Non,
Consultant.
the consumers of astrology.
Non, consommateur. Consumer, ça veut dire consommateur.
Consommateurs de l'astrologie. Ceux qui prétendent de pratiquer l'astrologie, ils ont incorporé comme une recette nouvelle. Une recette comme we do this, we pray our Father and here comes the angel. Donc, au contraire de augmenter